Have you noticed she's slowly pulling away and every text or call feels like you're chasing a ghost? Stop right there. Chasing will only push her further. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what to do instead, how to flip the situation in your favor without desperation, how to regain your calm, confidence, and control, and why giving her space could actually make her miss you more than ever. If you're tired of anxiety and confusion, this is the guide you need. The very first step when you notice she's pulling away is to understand what's actually happening. Often, men mistake temporary mood shifts or the need for personal space as a sign of rejection. It's crucial to differentiate between a woman who is genuinely distancing herself because of lost interest and one who simply needs time to recharge, think, or focus on her own priorities. Recognizing the difference is the foundation for responding intelligently rather than reacting emotionally. One of the most obvious signs she's pulling away is a change in communication. If she used to text you throughout the day and now replies with short, delayed, or one-word answers, that's your first signal. But here's the nuance: it's not about the frequency alone. Context matters. If she's busy with work, studies, or personal matters, her short replies don't necessarily mean she's losing interest. However, if you notice a consistent lack of effort to engage in meaningful conversation, that's when alarm bells should go off. Another clear sign is avoidance of time together. If she suddenly cancels plans repeatedly, seems disinterested in setting new ones, or frequently gives vague excuses, it's a red flag. But again, pause before jumping to conclusions. Life throws unexpected responsibilities and stresses at everyone. The key difference is consistency. A woman who is pulling away will consistently avoid interaction, while someone who is just busy or stressed will show sporadic engagement when she genuinely wants to be present. Emotional distance is a subtler but equally powerful indicator. If she no longer shares her thoughts, feelings, or daily experiences with you, or if she seems emotionally disconnected even when you're physically together, that's a strong sign she's retreating. Pay attention to her energy around you. Does she seem tense, indifferent, or preoccupied when you're together? Emotional detachment is often more revealing than words because actions reflect true feelings. Physical cues can also provide insight. While not every change in touch or closeness means disinterest, a noticeable drop in physical affection, like hugs, casual touches, or even sitting farther apart, can signal that she's creating space. Humans naturally seek closeness with those they feel emotionally connected to. A sudden withdrawal of physical contact usually reflects some internal shift in her feelings. Behavior on social media is another place to observe, but it must be approached carefully. If she suddenly becomes distant online, stops interacting with your posts, or engages more with others than with you, it can be a subtle hint. However, social media is not always a perfect indicator. It's easy to misinterpret posts or online activity. Combine this with in-person interactions to get a clearer picture. Finally, listen to your intuition. Often, men ignore their gut feeling because they fear confrontation or rejection. Yet, intuition is based on accumulated observations and patterns you've noticed over time. If you consistently feel a shift in her interests, there's likely something real happening. Trust your instincts, but balance them with objective observations. The moment you notice she's pulling away, your first instinct might be to chase her, to call more, text more, or show her how much you care in the hope of bringing her closer. This is a natural reaction, but it's also the fastest way to push her even further away. Chasing communicates neediness, insecurity, and desperation, which are emotional triggers that often repel rather than attract. Women, like anyone, are drawn to confidence, stability, and independence. When you chase, you unintentionally signal the opposite. Chasing creates pressure, and pressure makes people retreat. If she senses that your emotional state depends on her responses or attention, she will instinctively distance herself to regain balance. This doesn't mean she doesn't care. It's human nature to protect one's space and autonomy. The more you pursue, the more you remind her that she holds the control in the situation. Control is seductive, but only when it's balanced. When imbalance appears through chasing, it diminishes your value in her eyes. Another reason to stop chasing immediately is that it prevents you from seeing the situation clearly. When you are constantly trying to get her attention, your judgment becomes clouded by fear and anxiety. You may misinterpret signals, overanalyze minor interactions, or react impulsively. By stepping back, you gain clarity. You can objectively assess whether her pulling away is temporary, situational, or a sign of diminishing interest. Clarity allows you to respond strategically rather than emotionally, which is essential if your goal is to preserve respect and attraction. Chasing also erodes self-respect. When you compromise your dignity by begging for attention or making excessive efforts to win her back, it undermines the foundation of attraction. Confidence and self-worth are highly magnetic traits, and chasing directly diminishes both. Women are naturally drawn to men who prioritize their own lives and happiness over validation from others. By stopping the chase, you reaffirm your boundaries, self-value, and emotional independence, qualities that quietly reignite attraction. It's important to understand that stopping chasing doesn't mean ignoring her completely or being cold. It means withdrawing from desperate attempts to force closeness and instead redirecting your energy to self-improvement and composure. Focus on things you control: your goals, hobbies, friendships, and emotional stability. This shift not only strengthens your own sense of self, but also naturally triggers curiosity and intrigue from her. When you're calm, centered, and fulfilled without her attention, she notices the shift, even if she isn't consciously aware of it. Finally, stopping the chase is about creating the space necessary for authentic connection. A woman who is pulling away often needs distance to process her feelings or evaluate her own desires. Chasing interrupts this process and can make her feel suffocated. By giving her space and holding your ground, you allow her to naturally come back if there's genuine interest. This approach flips the dynamic from one of desperation to one of subtle attraction, where your calm confidence becomes the magnet rather than your pursuit. One of the most powerful steps you can take when she's pulling away is to shift your focus entirely to yourself. When you place your attention on your own growth, happiness, and ambitions, you stop giving her the unconscious power to dictate your emotional state. Men often fall into the trap of over-prioritizing a woman's attention, but this only creates imbalance. By redirecting your energy towards self-improvement, you not only regain control of your life, but also increase your intrinsic value in ways that words or chasing never could. Shifting focus begins with acknowledging that your life doesn't revolve around her reactions. This is not about ignoring her, but about understanding that your emotional well-being, goals, and happiness are your responsibility. Invest in activities that nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Whether it's hitting the gym, reading, learning a new skill, or pursuing a passion project, these actions signal to yourself and to her that you are a man with purpose. Purpose is magnetic, and it's far more attractive than desperation or constant attempts to seek validation. Confidence naturally grows when you focus on your own life. The more you invest in personal development, the less dependent you become on her attention. This creates a calm, grounded energy that women sense instinctively. Confidence isn't about arrogance or pretending you're unaffected. It's about knowing your worth and living in alignment with it. When you demonstrate self-assurance, it's far more likely that she will feel drawn toward you rather than detached, because attraction is rooted in respect and admiration, not fear of loss. Independence is another key aspect of this shift. Emotional and social independence are incredibly appealing because they convey that you are not easily swayed by emotional fluctuations. You have your own circle, your own plans, and your own priorities. Women naturally respond to men who have a life outside of them because it removes pressure and creates space for mutual desire. When you focus on yourself, she no longer feels the need to pull away for control or freedom because you are already operating from a position of strength. Focusing on yourself also provides clarity and perspective. When a woman pulls away, emotions can run high and overthinking can cloud judgment. By immersing yourself in personal growth and meaningful pursuits, you gain distance from the situation. This distance allows you to observe her actions objectively rather than reacting impulsively. You can assess whether her pulling away is temporary, circumstantial, or indicative of a deeper issue, and make informed decisions instead of letting anxiety dictate your behavior. Moreover, self-focus creates natural attraction through demonstration rather than persuasion. Actions speak louder than words, and when she sees that you are thriving, independent, and invested in your own happiness, curiosity, and interest are rekindled. You are no longer chasing approval. You are living fully. This subtle shift can change the dynamic entirely, making her want to engage with you on your terms rather than through emotional coercion. Lastly, prioritizing yourself reinforces boundaries. Chasing or overinvesting emotionally can erode your personal standards and leave you vulnerable to disappointment. By focusing on your own growth, you maintain a clear sense of what you will and won't tolerate in a relationship. This sense of self-respect communicates strength without words, and it naturally commands attention and consideration from her. When a woman begins to pull away, it's natural to feel a surge of anxiety, frustration, or even panic. Your instinct might be to react immediately, texting repeatedly, calling her, or trying to fix the situation. This is exactly where most men make mistakes. Overreacting communicates insecurity and desperation, which diminishes your value in her eyes. Maintaining calm and composure is not only about self-control, it's about demonstrating that your emotional state is independent of her actions and that stability is far more attractive than frantic pursuit. Calmness starts with self-awareness. Notice your emotions without letting them dictate your behavior. When you feel the urge to chase or argue, pause, take a breath and remind yourself that your worth is not tied to someone else's attention. Women sense emotional stability, and it subconsciously signals strength, reliability, and maturity. A man who reacts impulsively appears volatile and needy, whereas a composed man conveys control and confidence, two qualities that naturally draw interest. Composure also protects the relationship dynamic. Reacting emotionally can trigger defensiveness, withdrawal, or conflict, which accelerates her pulling away. On the other hand, responding with measured, calm behavior creates a sense of ease and safety. She will notice that you are unbothered, that you respect both her space and your own boundaries. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or ignore issues. It means you approach interactions thoughtfully and strategically, prioritizing respect and dignity over immediate gratification. Another aspect of maintaining calm is mastering the art of emotional detachment without becoming cold. Detachment is not indifference. It's the ability to observe the situation without letting emotions overwhelm your reasoning. When you detach emotionally, you can think clearly, assess her behavior objectively, and decide the best course of action. Emotional detachment also communicates that you are not dependent on her validation, which increases your attractiveness and authority in the relationship. Self-control extends beyond words and actions. It includes digital interactions. In today's world, over-texting, frequent calls, or reacting publicly on social media are common ways men unintentionally signal desperation. By limiting impulsive communication and responding thoughtfully, you reinforce the perception of confidence and self-assuredness. A well-timed message or calm, concise response carries far more impact than constant, emotionally charged attempts to get her attention. Calmness also provides the space for strategic decision-making. When a woman pulls away, emotions can cloud judgment, leading to impulsive choices that worsen the situation. By staying composed, you give yourself the ability to observe patterns, notice shifts in her behavior, and respond intelligently. This strategic approach creates an invisible power dynamic where your calm presence becomes magnetic, and your energy naturally draws her back without force. Finally, maintaining composure reinforces your internal value system. Life is unpredictable, and emotional control allows you to navigate uncertainty without compromising your principles. It communicates that you are grounded, resilient, and capable of handling challenges, which are traits women are instinctively attracted to. Composure, when consistently demonstrated, strengthens your personal identity and creates an aura of reliability and confidence that no amount of chasing or pleading can replicate. When a woman begins pulling away, communication becomes a delicate dance. At this stage, saying too much or trying to force explanations can push her further from you. Instead, subtle strategic communication is the key to maintaining attraction while respecting her space. Strategic communication is about sending the right signals without appearing needy, overbearing, or desperate. It's about conveying confidence, self-assurance, and emotional intelligence through your words, tone, and actions. One of the most important elements is brevity. When you do reach out, keep your messages concise, light, and meaningful. Avoid long paragraphs of apologies, explanations, or emotional appeals. Overloading her with messages communicates insecurity and dependency, which can create pressure. Short, confident messages, on the other hand, show that you value both your time and hers. This approach sparks curiosity and subtly reminds her of your independence and self-respect. Another key component is timing. Resist the urge to respond immediately to every message or interaction. Strategic pauses create a sense of intrigue and prevent you from appearing desperate for attention. If she notices that you are not constantly available, it reinforces that you have a full life and other priorities. This doesn't mean ignoring her completely. It means responding thoughtfully at a pace that reflects calm and control rather than anxiety. Tone and choice of words are equally crucial. Avoid guilt-inducing or manipulative language, as it often backfires. Instead, use neutral, confident, and occasionally playful language. Humor can be a powerful tool because it lowers tension and reestablishes a sense of connection without neediness. Positive and confident communication signals that you are emotionally stable, self-assured, and not defined by her responses. Nonverbal communication also plays a strategic role. Your body language, eye contact, and energy convey far more than words. If you meet in person, maintain open, relaxed postures and calm, steady eye contact. Your confidence and composure should be evident in your presence. Women are highly perceptive to nonverbal cues, and subtle signals of self-assuredness communicate value more effectively than overt persuasion or emotional pleas. Listening is another often overlooked aspect of strategic communication. When she speaks, genuinely listen without planning your next response or attempting to dominate the conversation. Showing authentic interest without overinvesting emotionally reinforces respect and attentiveness. This type of listening demonstrates that you are emotionally intelligent, capable of understanding her perspective while remaining centered and confident. Finally, strategic communication involves creating a sense of curiosity and intrigue. Share glimpses of your life, accomplishments, or exciting experiences without bragging or oversharing. The goal is to communicate that your life is full and independent, and that engagement with you is a choice, not a necessity. This subtle approach triggers natural attraction because it positions you as a high-value individual who is not chasing approval, but rather inviting connection. By mastering subtle, strategic communication, you establish balance in the dynamic, reduce the risk of pushing her away, and maintain your personal dignity. It's about being intentional with every word, action, and gesture, ensuring that each interaction strengthens your presence and demonstrates calm, confident, and magnetic energy. When a woman starts pulling away, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is the principle of scarcity. Scarcity does not mean ignoring her completely or playing manipulative games. It means creating an environment where your presence is valued and your absence is felt. Humans are naturally wired to appreciate what they can't easily have. By strategically limiting availability, you create curiosity, respect, and genuine attraction rather than desperation or dependency. Scarcity starts with prioritizing your own life. When you are fully engaged in your goals, hobbies, friendships, and personal growth, you naturally limit the amount of time you are available for her. This isn't about being cold or uninterested. It's about signaling that your life is complete and fulfilling without her constant attention. When she sees that you are not chasing her, it flips the dynamic. Suddenly, she must make an effort to engage with you rather than assuming your attention is guaranteed. Another aspect of scarcity is controlling communication frequency. Avoid the trap of texting, calling, or responding at every opportunity. Instead, space out your interactions intentionally while still being respectful and thoughtful. By doing this, you create anticipation and make each conversation feel meaningful rather than routine. Scarcity works because it triggers curiosity. When someone notices they can't always access your attention immediately, it awakens interest and makes your presence more impactful. Physical and social presence also benefit from scarcity. When you spend time apart, whether socially or emotionally, she begins to notice the qualities that initially drew her to you. Absence highlights value. It allows her to reflect on what she appreciates about you rather than taking your presence for granted. By not constantly being available, you give her the chance to evaluate her feelings naturally, which often strengthens attraction instead of weakening it. Scarcity also cultivates respect. When a man is always accessible, it can unintentionally signal that his boundaries are flexible or that he places her needs above his own consistently. Respect grows when she sees that you have standards and maintain personal boundaries. By protecting your time and energy, you communicate that you value yourself, and women instinctively respect a man who does not compromise his identity or dignity for attention. It's important to balance scarcity with authenticity. Absence should not be used as a manipulative tactic to test her feelings, but rather as a natural byproduct of living a fulfilling life. Women are perceptive and can detect inauthentic behavior. Genuine scarcity comes from prioritizing your own growth and happiness, which naturally makes your presence more magnetic. You are not disappearing to provoke jealousy. You are creating space for her to appreciate your value organically. Finally, scarcity increases desire by fostering emotional and psychological tension. When she cannot always predict your availability, her mind begins to focus more on the positive aspects of your presence, creating anticipation and excitement. This tension is not about anxiety or fear. It's about curiosity and intrigue. By strategically limiting access while maintaining your composure and confidence, you create an environment where attraction grows naturally, not through force or manipulation, but through respect, value, and conscious self-investment.